3 machine guns. A safe frozen kill zone. 0 chance of survival. January 1945, an American platoon is trapped under unstoppable fire until one soldier does the unthinkable. He walks straight into the guns alone. No backup, no orders, no plan that should work. Within minutes, the battlefield falls silent, and even the enemy can't explain how. This isn't a legend. It happened, and the truth behind it is far more brutal than the story you've heard. Watch to the end because every second of what follows defies logic. Before we go any further, I have a question for you. Somewhere in this story is the answer hidden in the chaos, buried in the snow, revealed only if you pay close attention. Here's the question. How many German machine gun positions does the lone infantryman ultimately destroy during this assault? I won't tell you where the answer appears. You'll have to follow every step he takes, every crawl, every charge, every explosion to find it. Keep watching, because when the answer finally arrives, you'll understand just how impossible this moment really was. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to subscribe for more. January 1945, Western Europe. The war has entered its most exhausted, most merciless phase. By every known rule of warfare, what happens next should be impossible. A thin American infantry line is stalled at the edge of a frozen village, whose name will never appear in textbooks. Snow has erased the roads. Smoke has erased the horizon somewhere ahead. German machine guns sit perfectly positioned, overlapping arcs, hardened emplacements, clear lanes of fire. The kind of defense that chews units apart by the hour. The math is brutal. The terrain favors the defenders. The attackers are exposed, tired, and running out of time. And then there is the man they will soon call a walking grenade. At this moment, he is just another infantryman pressed into the ground, feeling the vibration of rounds snapping overhead, listening to men breathe too loudly beside him. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to subscribe for more. He is not an officer. He is not supported by armor. He is not supposed to move. But logic has already failed here. The German guns are disciplined. They fire in measured bursts, not wasting ammunition. Every movement in the open draws instant response. Scouts are cut down before they can crawl 10 yards. Radio calls go unanswered. Artillery support is delayed, lost somewhere in the snow and confusion. History insists this should have ended with withdrawal or annihilation. The enemy believes it already has. From their positions, the German gunners can see everything that matters. They have watched this unit hesitate. They have watched bodies dragged backward into shallow cover. To them, this is containment. Time is on their side. What they cannot see is the decision forming in the snow. The man studies the slope ahead. He counts distances without writing them down. He measures silence between bursts. He fingers the weight on his belt, not comfort, but inevitability grenades. More than any one soldier should carry, enough to change the geometry of the battlefield, if he can reach it. No rational commander would authorize this. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to subscribe for more. No training manual would suggest it. No survival instinct would encourage it. Yet war does not reward reason. It rewards momentum around him. Men realize what he is doing not because he announces it, but because he stops looking back. He is already separating himself from the group, turning isolation into a weapon. The machine guns continue to fire, confident, methodical, unhurried. They do not yet understand that one man has decided to walk straight into their fire and that the rules are about to break. The snow shifts, a body rises, and the first step is taken. January 1945. Minutes later, the cold is no longer background. It is an active force, stealing feeling, dulling thought, slowing everything except fear. The man moves forward alone. By every known rule of warfare, advancing uphill into prepared machine gun positions without suppressing fire is suicide. Even crawling is dangerous. Even breathing too deeply risks detection. The Germans know this. That is why they wait. That is why they fire only when movement reveals itself. He lowers himself into the snow and begins to crawl. Each yard takes effort. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to subscribe for more. Each pause risks freezing fingers stiff around steel. The weight of the grenades pulls against his spine, dragging his body down as if the earth itself is resisting him. He does not rush. Rushing would draw attention. Instead, he moves during the brief windows when German fire shifts elsewhere, when another squad, somewhere to the left or right, becomes the more immediate target. This is not bravery. It is calculation under suffocation. The slope ahead is broken by small rises and dead ground, but nothing that qualifies as cover. The machine guns are positioned to deny exactly this kind of movement. Interlocking fields of fire ensure that any attacker is seen by at least one barrel at all times. The Germans have built this defense carefully. They trust it. So do the laws of probability. Every few seconds, bullets rake the snow where he had been moments earlier. He presses himself flat, face down, waiting for the fire to pass. Snow melts against his uniform, soaking through layers meant for marching, not crawling. His elbows burn, his knees bleed. He does not feel it yet. Behind him, the American line is silent. No one fires, no one shouts. Any sound would pull fire onto him. The men watch the dark shape inch forward, knowing they are witnessing something they will never forget if they live. At 30 yards, the machine gun nest becomes distinct, timber reinforcement, a low profile. Just enough elevation to see the slope without exposing silhouettes. A textbook emplacement, 3 men, maybe 4, enough to kill a platoon. By every rational measure, this is where the story should end. The Germans adjust their fire slightly, probing, testing. They sense movement but do not yet see it clearly. Snow disguises shape, smoke blurs edges. Confidence fills the gaps. The man stops crawling. He lies still, chest pressed into ice, heart hammering loud enough to feel like betrayal. His fingers close around a grenade. He does not pull the pin yet. He waits. This possesses unnatural stillness under fire is the last moment where retreat remains possible. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to subscribe for more. History tightens here because once he stands, there is no crawling back, and somewhere above him, a German gunner leans into his weapon, unaware that the distance between them is now measured in seconds, not yards. January Fay, seconds later, the man rises. Not gradually, not cautiously. He comes up in one motion, as if the ground itself has rejected him. For a fraction of a second, the hillside is so lengthened the machine gun reacts. The barrel swings hard faster than a human body should track, and the air between them explodes into motion. Snow erupts, tracers cut lines through white and gray. The sound is no longer distant or abstract. It is physical, hammering the chest, shaking teeth. By every known rule of warfare, this is the instant of death. He runs anyway. The distance collapses violently. Each step is a gamble against mathematics. The German gunner fires in a sustained burst, now trying to walk the rounds up into center mass. The assistant feeds the belt faster. A third man shouts a warning, a curse, something lost in the noise. A round tears through the man's outer clothing. Another punches the ground inches from his foot. He does not slow. He cannot. Stopping would mean being cut apart where he stands. At 6 yards, he throws. The grenade arcs low, almost lazy, bouncing once before vanishing into the shadow of the emplacement. There is no time to throw himself down. No time to turn away. The blast detonates inside the structure, a compressed violence that splinters timber and flesh in the same instant. The machine gun cuts off mid-burst, as if the sound itself has been killed. Silence floods the slope. He crashes into the position seconds later, weapon raised, senses overloaded. Smoke pours out. The smell is immediate: burned powder, blood, hot wood. One body lies twisted against the rear wall. Another is slumped forward, motionless. A third shape moves, briefly, then stops. This is not triumph, it is shock. He does not linger, he does not look down. He knows better than to believe the hill is empty. Because by every rational estimate, the remaining German positions have seen this, and they are adjusting. He reloads with shaking hands, fingers stiff, breath ragged. Blood runs somewhere beneath his clothing, warm against cold skin. He does not know where he has been hit. Only that pain has arrived and decided to stay. The second machine gun nest is higher, offset, commanding the slope he must now cross. Its crew has had time to prepare. They are not surprised, they are waiting. From their perspective, what just happened was impossible but not repeatable. They are wrong. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to subscribe for more. The man steps back into the open. Alone again, moving toward a position that has already learned how to kill. History insists this is where momentum breaks. It rarely accounts for men who refuse to stop. January 1945, the slope above him. The second machine gun opens fire immediately. This time, there is no hesitation, no probing bursts. The Germans have corrected their mistake. They fire to kill, sweeping the hillside with disciplined precision. Snow detonates in tight lines. The air snaps and cracks like tearing cloth. He moves anyway. By every known rule of warfare, wounded men seek cover. They crawl, they wait, they conserve what is left of themselves. He does none of that. A round strikes him across the back, hard enough to spin his body sideways. Pain arrives in a single blinding surge, tearing through muscle and breath at once. He crashes into the snow and slides several yards downhill, leaving a dark smear behind him. For a moment, he does not move. The Germans assume it is over. From their position, they see a body lying still in the open. They lift their fire slightly, shifting attention to other sectors. The hill has taught them this pattern: movement, resistance, silence. History agrees with them. Blood pools beneath the man, hot against ice. Each breath pulls fire through his back. His hands claw at the snow without purpose. His vision narrows, darkening at the edges. Shock presses in, offering relief in the form of unconsciousness. Then a grenade lands beside him. It bounces once, stops, hisses. He reacts without thinking, kicking it away as his body rolls instinctively. The explosion lifts him off the ground and slams him back down, stealing what little air remains in his lungs. And still, he gets up. This is the moment logic fully collapses. He staggers to his feet, half-turned, firing blindly to keep heads down. The machine gun tries to reacquire him, but the angle is wrong now. He is too close. The weapon cannot depress fast enough. 4 yards, he fires deliberately. The gunner drops. The assistant reaches for a rifle and never brings it up. The third man frees his hands raised, shouting words that no longer matter. The carbine clicks empty. Silence returns, broken only by the man's breathing gragged, wet, uneven. He grabs the surviving German by the collar and drags him out of the emplacement, shoving him downhill toward American lines, a living message, proof of something no one is prepared to explain. Blood runs freely now. The wound across his back opens wider with every step. The snow around him is no longer white. Above him, the final machine gun waits. It has watched everything. It has measured the cost. And it has decided to end this before the impossible becomes contagious. January 1945, the upper slope. The third machine gun does not fire immediately. It waits. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to subscribe for more. This position is higher, better built, reinforced with thicker timber and deeper earth. Its crew has seen enough to understand that panic wastes ammunition. They track the man carefully, adjusting elevation, calculating lead, preparing to cut him down the moment he commits. They believe he has no strength left. By every medical measure, they are correct. Blood loss has slowed his movements. His legs respond with delay, as if receiving orders from far away. His hands tremble when he reloads, forcing him to use his teeth to seat the magazine. Cold and pain blur the edges of his vision. He is operating on will alone now, and will is not supposed to last. He starts forward anyway. The machine gun opens up at 30 yards. The rounds are tighter this time, more precise. The Germans have learned his pattern: short rushes, pauses, sudden movement. They sweep low, trying to catch his legs, to drop him where grenades cannot be thrown. He goes down and crawls. Each pull forward sends a fresh wave of pain through his back. The wound sticks to the fabric of his uniform, tearing open again with every movement. His breath comes in sharp, controlled pulls, not to calm himself, but to keep from screaming. This is no longer an assault. It is a negotiation with collapse. At 20 yards, he stops. By every known rule of warfare, this is the point where men die without witnesses. Too far to throw accurately, too close to retreat. Fully exposed, a dead zone. He reaches for his grenades. The weight on his belt is lighter now. Fewer chances remain. He pulls 2 pins, one after the other, counting, silent, not for timing, but for control. His hands shake so badly he nearly drops one. The German crew sees the movement. They shout, they adjust fire upward, trying to force him down before he can throw. Rounds tear through the snow around his shoulders, snapping past his head. He rises to one knee and throws both grenades high. They arc against the gray sky, slow and unmistakable, the kind of sight that freezes men mid-action because there is no correcting it once it begins. The crew scrambles. One man dives deeper into the emplacement. Another reaches for the gun, as if firepower can still solve this. The first explosion hits, then the second. The timber bunker ruptures from the inside. Logs are thrown outward. Equipment follows. Smoke and debris pour into the open air, carrying with them what remains of the crew. The machine gun falls silent. The hill so carefully prepared, so confidently held is suddenly empty of fire. The man does not cheer, he does not raise his weapon. He simply stands there, swaying, bleeding, alone at the top of the slope. And below him, an entire battlefield hesitates, unsure whether what it has just witnessed is real. January, minutes later. Silence settles in an unfamiliar way. Not the temporary lull of reloading or repositioning, but the hollow quiet that follows something final. The German machine guns that had owned the hillside moments earlier are gone. Their overlapping fields of fire have collapsed into nothing. By every known rule of warfare, this is the moment for exploitation. Units surge forward, lines advance. Momentum is seized. None of that happens yet. Both sides hesitate. The Americans below the slope are still pressed into the snow, unsure whether the silence is real or a trap. They have learned not to trust sudden quiet. Men who stand too quickly die. Men who assume victory die faster. Above them, the man sways in place. Adrenaline drains out of him all at once, leaving only damage behind. His legs buckle, and he drops to one knee. Then both. Blood seeps freely now, dark against white. His breath is shallow, uneven, each inhale a decision. He has done what logic insisted could not be done, and it has nearly killed him. American soldiers begin to move cautiously uphill, weapons raised, scanning for fire that never comes. They pass the first destroyed emplacement and slow involuntarily, confronted with the violence left behind. This is not a clean battlefield. It is torn, splintered, silent in a way that unsettles even experienced men. They find him near the top. For a moment, no one speaks. Not out of reverence, but disbelief. They see the blood-soaked uniform, the empty grenade loops, the torn earth where machine guns once stood, by every reasonable measure. This man should already be dead. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to subscribe for more. Medics move in, working quickly, efficiently, without questions. They cut fabric away, exposing the wound across his back wide, ragged, dangerously close to the spine. One of them swears softly. Another applies pressure without comment. The hill is secured now. German resistance in the sector begins to fold, retreating from positions that suddenly feel exposed. The defensive line so carefully engineered has been unzipped by a single point of failure. But victory here feels thin, because war does not pause to admire outliers. As the man is carried downhill, past the soldiers who watched him walk into fire and return in pieces, the larger battle continues to grind forward. New orders arrive. New positions are taken, new casualties fall. The hill will not be named after him. The village will be shelled again within days. And yet, among the men who were there, something irreversible has happened. They have seen the boundary of the possible move, and they will carry that knowledge with them into every fight that follows. January 1945. Days later, war moves on quickly, but paperwork moves faster. After, action reports reduce chaos into lines and boxes. Enemy positions destroyed. Prisoners taken, friendly casualties listed without adjectives. The language is clean, precise, and utterly inadequate. Nowhere in the official summaries does it fully capture what happened on that hill. By every institutional instinct, armies prefer explanations that scale artillery did this. Coordination did that. Numbers achieve the result. Singular acts are inconvenient. They disrupt doctrine. They raise questions. No system wants to answer. And yet the accounts keep surfacing. Multiple witnesses describe one man advancing alone. Earlier, I asked you a question. How many German machine gun positions did the lone infantryman destroy during this assault? This right here is the answer. He eliminated 3 prepared machine gun nests in sequence, each one positioned to stop an entire unit, each one considered nearly impossible to assault alone. The first fell to a grenade thrown at point-blank range. The second collapsed after he rose again despite being wounded. And the third, the highest, strongest position, was destroyed when he threw 2 grenades into the bunker, silencing the final gun. 3 positions. Zone Man minutes that rewrote what everyone on that hillside believed was possible. Machine gun nests eliminated in sequence. Enemy fire silenced without supporting weapons. Timelines that do not make sense when written down. Commanders read the statements twice. Medical officers add their own notes. The wound should have immobilized him. Blood loss alone should have forced collapse. Exposure should have finished the rest. None of it aligns with outcome. History insists these inconsistencies be smoothed over, but the men who were there resist that smoothing. They argue details, distances, timing. They remember the sound of the guns stopping one by one like doors closing down a corridor. For them, this was not myth. It was terror followed by silence. The Germans leave no written confession of the moment. Their losses are absorbed into broader retreats, equipment shortages, collapsing fronts, but the effect is measurable. That sector of the line gives way faster than expected. Subsequent resistance is thinner, more cautious. A defensive position that should have held for days breaks in hours. By every rule of warfare, morale is a force multiplier. And something on that hill broke more than timber and steel. The man survives surgery. Barely infection is a constant threat. Recovery is slow, incomplete, painful. He does not speak much about what happened when pressed. He deflects. Others did their jobs, he says. Others were there. This is not false humility, it is distance. Because when survival depends on rejecting reality, revisiting it later offers no comfort. The story begins to circulate anyway, carried by those who needed it. Not as inspiration, but as explanation for how they lived through something that should have killed them all. In war, legends are often born far from the battlefield. This one was born in the snow, January Fay. The same winter. Different nights, recovery is not victory. The man lies in a hospital bed far from the hill, but the hill follows him anyway. Every movement pulls at damaged muscle, every breath reminds him how close the round came to ending everything. Sleep is shallow and unreliable. When it comes, it brings fragment snow, sound, sudden silence. By every medical standard, survival is success. By every human measure, something has been taken. Around him, the war continues without pause. Men he knows are wounded, others are killed. Units rotate through positions that will be abandoned, retaken, abandoned again. The front inches forward at enormous cost, measured not in miles, but in names. What happened on the hill does not change the outcome of the war. It changes something smaller and more intimate. Those who witnessed it carry a recalibration of fear. They know how quickly certainty can collapse. They know that machine guns, no matter how well placed, are only as strong as the men behind them. And they know that the line between the living and the dead is thinner than doctrine admits. By every known rule of warfare, men are replaceable. By lived experience, they are not. The Germans adapt, they reinforce differently. They become quicker to withdraw from exposed positions. Overconfidence becomes expensive now. Somewhere in their memory you named. Unrecorded lone figure advancing through fire becomes a cautionary shape. The Americans adapt too, not tactically, psychologically. They have seen that inevitability can be challenged not often, not safely, but once is enough to disrupt its authority. When pinned down later, men remember that hill, not as a plan, but as proof that the rules are not absolute. This is how war actually spreads its influence, not through speeches or medals, but through stories exchanged quietly. At night, between men who do not want to think about what almost happened. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to subscribe for more. The man himself receives recognition eventually. Paper catches up. Words like gallantry and intrepidity appear, attempting to translate something that resists language. He listens. He nods. He does not interrupt. Because awards do not carry weight, grenades do, blood does, the silence after machine gun stop does. History will frame the event as heroism. The men who were there will remember it as survival balanced on the edge of collapse. And the hill unmarked, unnamed will remain exactly where it was, indifferent to both. January 1945, reconsidered. Strip away the drama, and what remains is a problem set that does not resolve. 3 prepared machine gun positions, interlocking fire, elevated ground, adequate ammunition, trained crews, weather conditions that punish attackers more than defenders. A lone infantryman advancing without support. By every known rule of warfare, this ends one way. Military academies teach that assaults like this fail because they must. The variables compound against the attacker: reaction time, suppression, fields of fire, physical limits, probability itself, and yet, it worked. Not because the rules were wrong, but because they were incomplete. The German defense was built to stop units, not anomalies. It assumed hesitation. It assumed fear would enforce compliance with logic. It assumed no one would willingly enter the kill zone without coordination or backup. That assumption held until it didn't. Each machine gun position functioned perfectly in isolation. Together, they created a sense of inevitability. That inevitability bred confidence. Confidence reduced urgency. Urgency is what saves defenders when something unexpected happens. The man exploited seconds. The Germans did not believe mattered. Seconds between bursts, seconds between adjustments, seconds where disbelief delayed reaction just long enough for distance to collapse. War is often decided in those margins. The Germans were not incompetent. They were methodical. And method is fragile when confronted with behavior it does not anticipate. By every rational analysis, the man should have been cut down during the first rush. The fact that he wasn't cannot be reliably reproduced. It cannot be taught. It cannot be planned. That is why it is unsettling. It suggests that control in war is always partial, that no position is fully secure, no outcome completely sealed, that even the most carefully prepared defense contains cracks invisible until someone is reckless enough to test them. This is not encouragement. It is warning. For every story like this, there are hundreds that end in the snow without witnesses. The hill did not fall because bravery overcame firepower. It fell because certainty did. And certainty, once broken, does not repair easily. January Fay, long after the gunfire, battles end, consequences do not. Among the men who climbed that hill afterward, there is a shared memory that never quite settles into words. Not the explosions, not the bodies. Those are familiar enough. What stays with them is the Pasidi instant when the machine gun stopped and no one understood why. War teaches men to expect cause and effect. Fire produces death. Silence produces survival. That day, silence arrived without explanation. By every known rule of warfare, hesitation is fatal. Yet in that moment, everyone hesitated, Americans and Germans alike, because reality had slipped out of alignment, and instinct needed time to catch up. That pause saved lives. It allowed the Americans to move without being cut down. It allowed the German line to unravel instead of counterattacking. It created space where none should have existed. Historians often search for turning points in maps and orders, but some turning points are psychological, not strategic. They occur when men realize the enemy is capable of something they cannot comfortably explain. After the hill, German resistance in the area becomes brittle, not weaker brittle, quick to fracture under pressure. Machine gun crews abandon positions sooner. Infantry pulls back earlier than doctrine recommends. The confidence that once anchored the line has been compromised. Fear does not always roar. Sometimes it whispers. The Americans feel it too, but differently. They understand now how close annihilation had been, how thin the margin was. The hill becomes a reference point, unspoken but shared, a reminder that survival is not guaranteed even when nothing seems to be happening. The man at the center of it all fades back into the machinery of war as much as his injuries allow. He is not elevated above others in daily life. He eats, waits, heals, listens to casualty lists, read aloud. He carries what happened without display. This is how most acts like this end, not with triumph, but with quiet endurance. History will eventually isolate the event, package it, give it a name, but for those who were there, it remains unfinished, because some moments do not conclude. They echo, January 1945. After it was over, the hill is quiet again. Not the tense quiet of men waiting to die, but the indifferent silence of terrain that has outlived everyone who fought over it. Snow smooths over craters. Wind moves through broken timber where machine guns once screamed. Nothing here remembers names. By every known rule of warfare, this is how it should end. The battlefield erases itself. The men who survived move on to the next objective. Some are killed weeks later. Some carry wounds for life. Some make it home and spend decades trying to explain why they lived when others did not. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to subscribe for more. The man who destroyed the machine gun nests is not changed into something larger than human. He does not become invulnerable. He does not repeat what he did. His body will not allow it. His mind will not either. What happened on that hill was not a strategy, it was a rupture. For a brief span of minutes, the war encountered something it could not immediately absorb. Prepared defenses failed. Assumptions failed. Cause and effect slipped out of alignment. And men on both sides felt it. The Germans did everything right. The Americans had every reason to fail. And yet the machine guns went silent. History prefers clean explanations. It wants to believe this was destiny, courage, inevitability. But inevitability was exactly what broke that day. The war did not unfold as planned. It stalled, it hesitated. And hesitation, in combat, is lethal. The hill did not change the outcome of World War II, but for the men pinned in the snow below it, it changed everything. They lived, not because the odds favored them, not because the plan worked, but because one man refused to accept the moment where logic said it was over. War is full of moments like this that never become famous. Moments where the line between life and death narrows to a few yards, a few seconds, a single decision made under impossible pressure. Most end quietly. This one did not. And that is why it endures, not as a lesson, not as a legend, but as a reminder, even in a war built on overwhelming force. Sometimes the most dangerous weapon on the battlefield is a man who decides not to stop moving.